Hi guys, it's Rob from Royal Balls. The first of my clutches in the incubator are due for hatching in a few days, so hopefully we'll get some videos out showing you guys some exciting combinations that I've produced, and we'll do the usual running through the identification of the snakes. But in the meantime, a lot of questions from people that maybe are just getting their first snake, or maybe people that are just starting to grow their collections with a view to breeding. And what I thought I'd do is to take a step back from all that detailed stuff and produce 2 or 3 videos covering subjects of interest to beginners. And it might be a beginner snake keeper, or it might be a beginner breeder. This is the time that many people are buying their first snakes and bringing them home. You've done all your research, but the snake hasn't read those books and is not behaving how you expected it to behave. So this video's for you. So when you get your first baby ball python home, you've brought it home here in the tropics, probably in a little deli cup like this if it's a hatchling. And the reason that we use small deli cups like this is to get the snake nice and secure and snug inside this tub so that it doesn't rattle around on the way home and hurt itself. Much more secure in a small deli cup like this. You'll notice the white tissue, and that is normally damped down just a little bit to keep the snakes cool here in the tropics. The opposite problem to what you probably have in more temperate climates. But you've just got the snake home and it's in a little tub like this. It's your first snake, and you're probably concerned, even though you've done your research, about what's best for the animal. Now, regardless of where you're ultimately going to keep it, in a terrarium, in a rack system, in a clear tub with a lid, regardless of where its ultimate home is going to be, a small hatchling of this size, I start off in a very small Tupperware tub like this. This is only about 8 inches by 6 inches. You can see the size of it next to my hand, and I know what you're thinking. This is really small. This is not the snake's forever home. This is just where you're going to keep it until it's acclimated to its new home. You've probably read all about feeding snakes and about how you need to give them a heat signature and movement, etc. The first thing that any new snake needs in order to feel at home is security. Your snake will not do any of the things it's supposed to do unless it feels secure. And you do that initially by putting it into a fairly tight space so that it feels nice and safe. This tub is not ideal. I need to use clips to keep the lid on, otherwise the snake can push it off. So my solution is clips. We can also use a small Exoterra tub of the same size, and this has the advantage that it has an opening top that we can feed the snake through. It also has quite secure clips. It's about the same size. This is also a good size for a new hatchling when you first get it home. Let's have a look at what your hatchling needs. Simplicity itself. This little hatchling down here is in shed. It is a leopard clown, but basically all that's in here is a small jug of water and some white tissue paper. Now, if you have an existing snake collection, do not bring a new snake directly into your existing collection. It's going to be quarantined, and these tubs for me are quarantine tubs. These snakes have been in here now for several weeks and they are eating on a regular basis. They've settled down fantastically, they've not stopped eating, and the reason that I use white tissue paper is so that I can see if there's any problems with the snake. It makes it very easy to see the snake's poo. it makes it very easy to see if there are any mites or creepy crawlies on the snake. So we're using this for quarantine. This snake is now ready to move into my main collection. There are no health problems with it, it's settled down nicely and it is already starting to grow. So those are the only things that the snake needs. This tub is not ideal because it's clear. And if we have to use a clear tub like this, what I do is to put this into a separate room away from my main snake room, and I leave the snake alone. I do not touch it, I don't play with it. It's a new snake and it's going to feel insecure until you get used to it and it gets used to you. And the best way to do that, at least initially, is not to handle it. Once the snake settles down and has started to feed with you, that is the appropriate time to start handling the snake and to start getting it accustomed to you. But the first thing this snake needs when you get it home is to feel secure. So this tub goes into a dark room where nobody goes. I leave it there. If you don't have a dark room to put it in and you only have a clear tub like this, just put the tub inside a cardboard box and close the lid so that the snake cannot see out, you can't see in, it's in a dark space and it feels secure. So use this to keep your snake in initially. Put it in a cardboard box if you don't have a dark cupboard to put it into, and leave it alone. This snake is going to move into a fresh tub now because it has finished quarantine and has started to grow. So I'm going to use a tub of this size. This is my hatchling tubs, and if we just have a look over here, this is my hatchling rack where the snake is going to live. And this snake rack, whilst it has clear tubs, is quite a dark space. You can see it has shelves with dark dividers, so the snake is feeling quite secure in its new tub in there in a nice dark space. So security is the #1 issue for all snakes. They must feel secure, otherwise they'll refuse to eat and sooner or later they will get sick. So whatever else you do with your snake, make it feel secure. This is contrary to just about any other type of pet that you will ever keep. Snakes are very defensive creatures, particularly newborn hatchlings, and they always want to hide. So you need to provide that environment for them in order for them to feel secure. So this snake is moving into its new grow-on tub in the main snake room. It is ready, having finished quarantine, for that upgrade. And what I'm going to do is to provide it with the same bowl of water, a paper substrate because that's what I use. But if you're going to use a different substrate, now is the time to introduce that. And if this is your first time keeping snakes, you will notice that this snake is going into shed. How do I know that? You can see that the animal's skin has gone quite dull and milky. It is not a shiny glossy colour that it normally is. And if we look at the belly, you will see also that the belly has gone a slightly pinkish colour and is also very milky. Later on in the shedding process, the snake's eyes will also cloud over and go milky. This is an oily secretion that the snake secretes underneath the old skin to loosen it, and then it reabsorbs that oil. You'll see that your snake's eyes go clear towards the end of the shedding process, and the colour goes back to normal, and within about 24 hours of that the snake will shed. But this snake is quite well advanced in the shedding process and will probably take about another 5 days to a week to complete that shedding process. So what I'm going to do is to put him into his new tub and leave him alone. I've prepared a label for the tub that clips onto the front of the tub. And you'll see how the snake wants to come out of the tub, and in order to avoid being bitten, the way to handle a new snake that is always very timid is to come from underneath. The snake will not bite you if you come from underneath. You'll see how the snake does not flinch or react to my hand coming in from underneath. So there we go. If you come from underneath, the snake remains calm and you can handle it. So let's get this guy away. Let's have a look at another snake that is also growing up in my hatchling racks. And what we're going to do here is to start to notice a little bit about our snakes, start to get to know them and start to handle them. This snake is well enough settled now to be able to do that, but you will notice that his head is cocked and it's off the ground. So he's alert, he's attentive, he's nervous, and you'll see that his head is actually coiled back, and this snake will probably try to defend itself if you try to pick it up. And you'll notice it's very difficult to get in here into the tub to pick the snake up without coming from the front of the snake where it will bite you. So what we do is we don't hesitate. If this snake is a little timid, we just go straight in and cover the snake like so. That prevents it from biting us, and then we can pick the snake up. And you can hold your snake like that. Now, these snakes are still very, very timid. You'll see that the snake is coiled back here. You can see the snake reacting to my movement, and he will either shy away from that or attempt a defensive strike. So don't do that. Always approach your snake from underneath. You can see that he is watching me because I'm a very big heat signature behind him, but I can come in and handle him from underneath without any issues. Do not wiggle your finger in front of his face like this, because that is provoking him into a defensive response. So this snake is still not relaxed. You'll notice that he's not huffing, he's not tight or tense, but his head is still coiled back and he's still got a very nervous looking stance. So this snake is partially relaxed but not completely. Okay to handle as a first handling session. Nothing negative has happened to you, nothing negative has happened to the snake, so we'll put him back into his tub. This is daylight, so these snakes would normally be asleep, they would not be active, and this is not a good time to feed your new ball python. If you're new to the hobby, one of the biggest problems is getting your snake to feed, and so you want to give both you and the snake the best opportunity to have a good experience when you feed for the first time. So we don't feed during the day. This snake just wants to hide, go to sleep. It does not want to feed during the day. It's vulnerable. And now you can see the snake is getting nervous. You can see here that he's starting to huff. You can see his sides here. This is a surefire indication that this snake is now getting a little bit tired of being exposed and being handled. So what I'm going to do is to put him away, and we'll get another snake. This is a slightly larger snake, and you'll see that this snake is hiding underneath the paper. This is a typical position that your snake will want to be in when it's fast asleep. So let's just take a quick peek, and you'll see that there the snake is underneath the newspaper, and you'll see that immediately I removed the newspaper, the snake starts to huff and it's tense. This snake is nervous, but we can handle it. It's during the day, so let's have a bash. You'll see the snake is flinching a little bit. Come from underneath, pick up the snake, and we can handle it. So when we first start handling our snakes, we keep our handling sessions short. We don't want to stress ourselves out, we certainly don't want to get bitten, and we don't want to stress the snake out. So you can handle it in this way until it becomes acclimated to being handled. These animals are not like dogs and cats that love to be stroked and are social animals. They will tolerate handling, but only up to a certain extent, and it's up to us to learn their behaviours and adjust the way that we react with them in order to make the experience a good one for both of us. So you'll see this snake is starting to wake up now. It's tongue flicking, which is a good sign. It's using its tongue to investigate its environment. It wants to know what's going on. You can see the tongue flicking there. So again, we'll keep the handling session short. We'll put the snake back down. And this snake will want to hide. You can see it's flinching. Movement from above makes this snake very nervous. So we don't come in from above, we come in from the side or come in from below. And we lift the snake from below to avoid being bitten. You see the snake is huffing. That's a sure sign that it's nervous. But if we handle from below, we're fine. A snake does not like to have its head touched. Avoid touching the snake's head. Avoid restraining a snake. They don't like it. Let me just do that again. You'll see. The snake does not want to be touched on its head. And it will try to escape if you do. Just come from underneath, like so. Keep your movements slow. And now the snake is starting to relax and starting to explore. So let's put this guy away. We'll keep our handling session short so the snake doesn't get stressed. And here is another one, and you can see immediately that this snake is starting to explore. So we come from underneath, and the snake does not feel threatened. If we come from above, the snake will flinch and move backwards. If we come from underneath, the snake is okay with that. So we can pick this snake up. And we can again handle this snake. No problem. Positive experience. Let's put him away. So I hope that was useful, guys, for all you people bringing snakes home for the first time. There are some little tips and tricks that you can use to get your snake established, and it can be a process that takes several weeks. Once your snake is established and starts eating, they are usually extremely easy to manage from that point onwards. A new hatchling, once it settles down and is confident enough to eat, will usually eat everything that you can feed it. They are extremely ravenous creatures. They want to grow fast because they're vulnerable when they're small. And once you do get them established, very easy creatures to look after. Okay guys, that covers the first part of my beginner series. The next video I'll cover feeding strategies. It's one of the most difficult and one of the most frustrating things that new snake keepers encounter. They take a snake home from the breeder and it's eating perfectly fine for him, and when you get it home it refuses to eat. And it refuses to eat, you get really worried. You take it back to the breeder. He keeps it for a week and it immediately eats again for him, but still won't eat for you. What are you doing wrong? So the next video will cover some feeding strategies and I'll try to explain what you might be doing wrong. We'll also look at how to expand your collection with a view to breeding, and I want to cover some aspects of how ball pythons are priced. When you get a clutch of eggs, there's an incredible variety of babies within the clutch, and unlike a litter of puppies or a litter of cats where the kittens are all going to be around about the same price, and a litter of puppies is all around the same price depending upon what breed they are, with ball pythons it's totally different. There is a huge variety of different genetic morphs that could be produced in any given clutch, and you might have snakes ranging in value from $20 to $20,000 in the same clutch. How can that be? So we're going to explain that too. We've even had some comments recently from new breeders who feel that existing breeders are making it very difficult for them to break into the industry, and nothing could be further from the truth. There's never been a better time to get into the industry. There's never been a better time in terms of information available and help available to you You've just got to be prepared to do a little bit of help for yourself. So I'll be producing a video for all you guys who are thinking about getting into breeding, some of the pitfalls, some of the things to watch out for, and what projects to pick that perhaps are going to be the easiest or most lucrative to get you started. So we'll cover all that too. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.